kusangana zvekare kwatiri kuita mhuri yezimbabwe pano pachano yedu patinoita kubatira maupdates enyaya dzakasiyana-siyana dzinenge dzichiitika mukati menyika yezimbabwe. Kuye zvekare kwatiri kuita takabata nyaya iri kuti iyo South African group prepares ICC case against Zimbabwe's Mnangagwa over alleged rights abuse. Ndo bepa nhau ratiri kuya takakubatirai panapa rine musoro wenhau uri kutaura iwo uchiti South African group yoendesa nyaya ku International Criminal Court ichimhangarira President Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa vemuZimbabwe pamusoro pekutyora kodzero dzevanhu mukati menyika mukati meregion. Saka kupinda mukati mebepa nhau redu zvizere tiri kuti iro a South African civic organization says it is preparing legal action at the International Criminal Court ICC against President Emmerson Mnangagwa's government. The group accuses the Zimbabwean authorities of human rights violations linked to a recent political crackdown. The ICALI movement made the announcement during a solidarity demonstration outside the Zimbabwe embassy in Pretoria. Activists and Zimbabweans living in South Africa gathered to criticize the Zimbabwe government's handling of recent events. They called for democratic reforms and respect for the country's constitution. ICALE movement national organizer Ronald Gudomunyai said lawyers had already been instructed to start preparing the case. I have already briefed my lawyer. This has been done already. We are going to take the government of Mnangagwa to the International Criminal Court. This is a decision that we have already taken, he said. He added that recent events in Zimbabwe would only strengthen their case. Gudomunyai argued that regional leaders often protect one another from accountability. He compared the situation to scrutiny faced by South African leaders. It can't be that President Ramaphosa can be held accountable with pala, but Mnangagwa can't be held accountable. There is nothing special about Mnangagwa, he said. The group also voiced opposition to Zimbabwe's Constitutional Amendment Act number 6 of 2026, previously known as the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. They demanded full implementation of Zimbabwe's constitution instead of changes that critics says extend executive power and postpone elections. Zimbabwean opposition activist Jacob Ngarivume has drawn attention to similar reports. In posts on the social media platform X, he described South African lawyers preparing a submission to the ICC seeking an investigation into Mnangagwa, widely known as ED, over alleged human rights abuse and long-standing impunity. Ngarivume noted that the legal action is expected to argue that Zimbabwean victims living in South Africa could provide a basis for the ICC prosecutor to consider the case. A parallel petition is reportedly being prepared asking the United Nations Security Council to refer Zimbabwe to the ICC. This step is necessary because Zimbabwe is not a party to the Rome Statute, the treaty that created the ICC. Ngarivume, leader of Transform Zimbabwe and involved with the People's Coalition, has long called for greater accountability. His group has monitored recently stayaways and protest against the constitutional changes. He has described such international efforts as a welcome development after years of what critics call regional bodies shielding leaders. The background to these moves includes long-running concerns about human rights in Zimbabwe. Rights groups and opposition figures have pointed to repeated use of the justice system against critics, restrictions on gatherings, and political violence or intimidation. Recent months have seen heightened tension around the constitutional amendment that effectively extends the life of parliament and postpones the next elections. Courts in Zimbabwe have handled related legal challenges, while activists report arrest, detention, and reduced public activity during protesting. The ICC investigates and prosecutes individuals for the most serious international crimes, including crimes against humanity, war crimes, and genocide. For countries that have not joined the Rome Statute, the court normally needs a referral from the UN Security Council or other specific jurisdictional links. South Africa is a party to the statute, and the presence of victims or other connections there is being explored as a possible route. Even if a submission is filled, the ICC prosecutor and the judges must still decide whether the legal requirements for jurisdiction, gravity, and the other conditions are met before any formal investigation can begin. Supporters of the move say it represents an important attempt to end impunity and bring international attention to Zimbabwe's political situation. They argue that domestic avenues have failed to deliver justice for victims of alleged abuses. Critics of international involvement sometimes view such cases as external interference in African affairs. Zimbabwe's government has in the past rejected similar accusations and insisted it is addressing governments through constitutional processes. The demonstration in Pretoria also highlighted the divisions among South Africans over Zimbabwean migrants. Some local politicians questioned the turnout by Zimbabweans and renewed calls to end special permit programs for Zimbabwean living in South Africa. These comments reflect ongoing debates about immigration and regional solidarity. As of early August 2026, the Aikale movement says preparation of the case is underway. No formal filing at the ICC has been publicly confirmed. Legal experts note that building a successful case requires substantial evidence, careful legal argument, and time. The outcome will depend on decisions by the ICC's Office of the Prosecutor and, if relevant, the UN Security Council. For many Zimbabweans at home and in the diaspora, the reports offer a sign that pressure for accountability continues. Whether the effort leads to an official investigation remains uncertain. What is clear is that questions about human rights, political power, and the rule of law in Zimbabwe remain firmly on the agenda both regionally and internationally. Activists on both sides of the border say they will keep monitoring developments and push for democratic change through peaceful means. Ndo nyaya yatiri kuuya nayo muri yezimbabwe iri kutaurwa panapa kuti South African group raendesa nyaya yekuti ragadzirira kuendesa Mnangagwa ku-ICC International Criminal Court kuti ange achinotongwa ikoko pamusoro pekutyora kodzero dzevanhu kuri kuitwa mukati menyika yeZimbabwe. Vanhu ava vari kuendesa nyaya idzi vakamirawo sevanhu vemurijeni Southern Africa. Saka ndo nyaya yatiri kuuya nayo mangwanani ano. Ndofunga mazvinzwira zvose kubva mubepanhau ranga tichikuverenga naro. Nekudaro tinokutendai zvikuru muri yeZimbabwe nekuona kwamunoita mavidheos edu panapa, tichichingamidzawo vatanga kusvika pachannel yedu mukati mezuva ranhasi kuti mungogare masubscribe, kulike nekushare video kuitira kuti every time patinodzoka nemaupdates munge muchisangana nawo without delaying. Thank you for watching.